Show. We're back. I'm your host, John Parker, executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey all, where have you been?
Where have we been?
Oh, where have we been?
In the control room, Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Oh yeah, we've been here all along. It was
That's
you
right.
guys who were off in
I
the
realized
wild
that
yonder.
after I said it. Yeah.
The wild yonder of New York. Hey, Patrick, thank you and Ellie yesterday for your work and keeping the ship sailing.
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah, so Ellie, great show yesterday. Ellie Krug, the host of The Legal Trans Woman, which airs here on AM 950 on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Guest hosted for us. It was just a great episode, great interview. If you haven't heard yesterday's episode, the interview that Ellie had talking about an election in Missouri where it was a nonpartisan election, but the city council flipped essentially from a bunch of nonsense council people to some good, solid pro LGBTQ now council members. So it was a really great interview, and always just really love hearing Ellie's wisdom and breaking down the issues and what is happening. In the second half of the hour, she did that for us, and it was really lovely. So Ellie, we will definitely love to have you back here on the Gaily Show. Our call-in number 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. What do we have on the show today? Well, in DC, there is going to be a reenactment of a 1965 gay rights protest at the White House on Thursday, April 17th. So for all of our DC listeners, we're going to talk about that. Utah's Salt Lake Community College has found a very interesting workaround to keep their LGBTQ center open despite state and federal legislation and directives to try and close it. Speaking of schools, there is a Indiana mom who is charged with bringing a gun into a school to threaten the teacher, who has a wife, for quote-unquote indoctrinating her child. But and then we're going to talk about what's happening with the U.S. deporting Venezuelans, particularly one case that we haven't talked about here. And so I'm going to kind of break it down, reporting this happened, but give you all a very comprehensive view of what is happening in a particular case with an asylee who was gay and was deported to the El Salvadoran concentration camp. But first, I want to remind folks about a issue that we covered last week. The Minnesota LGBTQ Council has a community needs survey that they are currently running. It's on my to-do list to do this week. We were in New York, obviously, last week. Jim and I were going to talk about what we did in New York, some fun reviews of things for folks if you're going to be in the New York City area over the next couple of months. But so I didn't get to sort of talk more about this community needs survey and also to take the survey, which I'm going to do this week. But the survey, so it's MNQT. So it's the official Council on LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus Minnesotans. And the survey is a comprehensive community needs assessment, and which includes it statewide. It's an opportunity for queer individuals 18 and older, as well as parents of queer youth, to share their experiences, to share the challenges and their priorities to help make Minnesota an equitable place for all.
I started to take it, and then now I've lost it. I have to find it again. But I have
But we
started.
will be doing it this week.
Right.
We will be doing our job for democracy.
Yep.
And if you want to take that comprehensive survey, which we ask you to do, then you can go to mn.gov/LGBTQIA2, the number 2S. We encourage you to participate in your democracy and to shape what is going to happen in terms of advocacy and policy and programming from the state for the LGBTQ community. So that website again, mn.gov/LGBTQIA2S.
It's really great because it gets into a lot of detail that'll give us data.
Make a cup of tea, have some coffee, make a chai latte, sit down. It takes about 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
depending on how you take it, 30 minutes, but just sit down, enjoy it. Take the time to yourself. This can be a form of self-care, put some nice relaxing music on, have your chai tea. That's exactly how I'm going to do it. But yeah.
Time well spent.
Time well spent. We will include the link in our show notes. So if you're on YouTube, if you go to our website, today's date, April 15th, or if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., you can find that link in our show notes. We will put it there. Okay. So let's talk about this particular case, because obviously deportations to the El Salvadoran concentration camp very much in the news right now after the Supreme Court on Monday voted 9-0. So Trump's court, he put 3 of those people on there. They voted against him unanimously, telling him that he has to return an individual that they admitted was an error. They shouldn't have sent him there, but they are now ignoring that court ruling. But one that I want to flag for here, because there's a Midwestern connection to this story, and it's the case of André Hernandez Romero from Venezuela. Tried to cross the border illegally, was caught, sent back, and so began the process of, saying, well, what is, they're trying to claim asylum here in the United States.
That's important.
On the basis of being part of the LGBTQ community. Now, of note, people are like, oh, well, here we go. This person was, trying to cross the border illegally. There's a reason why he was trying to get across. And according to his lawyers, he was being pursued
right.
by gangs in Venezuela.
Right.
And so once he was returned to Mexico, found his way to San Diego to try to begin the process of, so this was a person who was being pursued by unsavory characters in Venezuela.
Who would have killed him? He
Likely. Is a gay makeup artist named André Hernandez Romero. The Midwestern connection. So when he was in San Diego, a former Wisconsin police sergeant who was fired for misconduct is the one who basically made all of this happen. His name, Charles Cross Jr., fired in 2012 from the Milwaukee Police Department after, fun fact, crashing his car into a home. Yeah, you heard that right. Was the one who did the intake form, I guess, or the interview, the evaluation of Hernandez. And there's a whole list of things that the individual has to be evaluated on. One of which includes tattoos. Now, I'm looking here at reporting from the USA Today. This guy, Charles Cross Jr., signed the report, was so bad at his job in Milwaukee that basically it's eroding his credibility to be even doing the job that he's doing right now. Not only did he drive his car into a family's home while intoxicated, he tried to appeal the decision but resigned in the process. Was also being investigated for claiming overtime that he hadn't earned, and was also on the Milwaukee County Brady list, which is a compilation of law enforcement officers deemed by county prosecutors to have credibility problems. He is now an employee of Core Civic, which runs the immigration detention centers for ICE. His name is typed investigator on the form that implicated Hernandez, who is a gay makeup artist. Gonna just keep putting that on there. Cross is 62 years old. And here's part of the problem, is that it's private contractors, not federal agents, who are determining whether a migrant is actually a member of a criminal gang. It is unclear, according to USA Today, if Hernandez was also evaluated by other federal agents or if it was just Core Civic employees. So we don't know if there was corroborating evidence. They will not they will not give us any additional information, the media, about this. They claim that the department said that we go well beyond just gang affiliate tattoos and social media to determine, but we are not going to share intelligence reports because that would undermine national security.
Yeah, right.
So he was one of 200 Hernandez migrants, majority of them Venezuelan, who were flown to the concentration camp, also known as the Terrorism Confinement Center, in March. He was sent there under the Alien Enemies Act from 1798. He passed an initial credible fear interview with a federal agent who said that, yes, he most likely is being persecuted for being gay in Venezuela, but then was questioned about his tattoos, which were a crown. And it is a crown on either wrist with the words dad and mom next to them. Apparently, they claimed that was enough to link him to the Tren de Aragua gang in Venezuela. Hernandez said he's not part of the group. Now, on this form, there are a variety of things that the individual is assessed on, including group photos, allegiance, and all of them were zeros. Like this cross individual said, no, there's no evidence of any of these other things, but it's only the tattoos that make him a suspect. And that apparently was enough to deport him to Venezuela. Now, interestingly, even ICE and DHS say that in previous evaluations that tattoos are not the way to determine if someone is actually part of this gang. We're going to have more on this story to find out where he is right now and how he is doing after this commercial break. Please follow us for more progressive news and analysis on our Blue Sky at thegailyshow.org. More here on The Gaily Show on the flip side.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 Radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hello, everyone. I am Becky McNatt, along with Tara Martini, hosts of Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This Sunday, tune in as we process through what active listening is and how it can be used to form connection.
If you have a question about active listening, visit our website at www.becomingtogethermn.com to find the Feels Out Loud page. We may share your questions on the show, so join us at 9 a.m. to live and share mental health together.
Hello, I'm Todd Mickelson, host of a Satellite View podcast. It's hard to find clarity or focus here on the ground with the fire hose of issues and events. We go up high and look back on Earth from a satellite view, where we can gain our bearings and learn from the past to shoot for a better future. And have fun and laughs along the way. Go to am950radio.com, click the programs link, and find a Satellite View with Todd Mickelson.
Introducing a new day of the week. Someday. Now, everything you were going to do someday is on the calendar. Want to retire someday? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits and manage current benefits online. Millions of people have a My Social Security account. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Welcome back to the Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker. It is 21 minutes past the hour. Our call-in number 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. There's so much reporting on this that's kind of hard to keep track, as you can tell from I'm trying to just go through all of my notes on this case of Andre Hernandez Romero. Basically, what we understand here is that he was being pursued by Venezuelan gangs to the U.S. border, where he tried to enter legally, then went to San Diego after was turned back by the Border Patrol, went to San Diego to claim asylum, was found through the first interview to have a credible case of being able to claim asylum, and then was taken by ICE, where a former fired Milwaukee police officer declared that he was a gang member based off of tattoos, nothing else. Everything else on the form that he was supposed to evaluate for, he said, no, there's no evidence of all these other things. There's just the tattoos, which were a crown on each of his wrists and the name Mom and Dad on that. And that was enough to have him deported to a concentration camp in El Salvador with 200 others this past March. The Advocate reporting that photojournalist Philip Halsinger saw him at the terrorism confinement center and said that they all 200, when they came in, were had their heads shaved. Hernandez was slapped every time he would speak up. He was praying and calling out, literally crying out for his mother, according to Halsinger, and an interview for 60 Minutes overtime. Stripped of hair and clothes. He said that it's like your life just ceased to exist. You're just a person in white clothes now. And he observed the prisoners and was taking photos. He said he just had a sense of watching people disappear. The Immigrant Defenders Law Center in San Diego is taking up the fight to try and get him back from El Salvador here. They are filing a lawsuit. They filed it in San Diego to get him to come back here. We'll continue to follow the story to see. I think there are folks who feel like he may not even still be alive. And we are just hoping that he is. Can't obviously verify whether he is or isn't while he's in that concentration camp, but we will be following the story. Speaking of folks who are, real quick here, Jen, before you jump in here, speaking of, so the individual last week, Abrego Garcia, who was deported, and the Trump administration said, yeah, we made a mistake. He's been deported, but we're not going to do anything to bring him back, despite the Supreme Court ruling against Trump 9-0 to bring him back. Now, Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland has written to the El Salvadoran government and said, return Abrego Garcia immediately. Otherwise, I'm coming down there to bring him back myself. In the letter, Van Hollen wrote, if Kilmar is not home by midweek, I plan to travel to El Salvador this week to check on his condition and discuss his release.
Yeah, if you've read anything about this facility, it's not a prison. It's a place where the people who are sent there never leave. So it is a death camp, whether you say they're killed quickly, whether they're killed over time, or whether they die over time. It is a death camp. So I think it's wrong to call it a prison. And the fact that
a concentration camp,
the fact that he's been sent there incompetently, which is what you would expect from this administration, and the fact that they can't get him back, also incompetently and cowardly, in my opinion. It suggests to many people, and I'm one of them, that he is already dead and that they can't do anything. They can't produce him. They can't even do what the Supreme Court has told them to do, because they killed him when they sent him there. They murdered him when they sent him there mistakenly. So they've killed all those people, and that's a different conversation whether anybody else deserved to die, but he certainly did not, beyond question.
Well, it calls into question if these are the people that they are hiring CoreCivic.
Right.
Fired police officers who
Right.
fired because
Discredited.
they literally could not do
Right.
their jobs as
Incompetent.
investigators.
Right.
You're now using to assess
Well,
people based off of whether or not they should have asylum here in the United States. It's just
broken down
absolutely
drunks, which is the
bonkers.
specialty of the Trump administration.
So we'll keep following that story to see what is coming of it. We'll keep you tuned here. In Indianapolis, WTHR Channel 13 reporting that a Indianapolis mom, Carrie Rivers, is charged with allegedly bringing a gun to her 6th grade daughter's school, saying that her daughter was given an assignment by the teacher about flags, and that the child brought up flags of several countries and states before referencing the flag in her classroom, which is a rainbow flag with the words "Be kind" on it. The parent, Rivers, withdrew her daughter from the school on April 9th, but still went to the school to complain, which is when the school officials noticed that she was carrying a gun. It is a felony in Indiana to bring a handgun onto school property. The Rivers was released, but couldn't leave well enough alone, sent a message to the teacher, and I'm just going to quote this because it's in the court documents and WTHR is reporting it. You're to the teacher, this is what Rivers said: "You are a child predator, and your only hope is your bleep bleep wife that is a cop. Otherwise, someone else would have already dealt with you for your wrongs." Fun fact, it's the "you" is spelled the letter U, and "your" is spelled U-R. Okay. "You messed with the wrong family. I'll tell you that. So please say your prayers and kiss your kids goodbye and good night. You never know when God says it's our time. So always be prepared."
So take the children away from that crazy woman. I would say that's a first step, right?
It's just, I don't want to hear anymore that, that we are the same. You know what I mean? That the left and the right are the same, and we're,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, we're not bringing guns
No,
into schools.
not yet, but no. You're right. That hasn't been our
And
MO.
threatening teachers.
Right. These are very sick people, empowered by a very sick person. So yeah, there's a lot of mental illness running around, calling itself a parent or calling itself a Christian or calling itself a Republican, but it's mental illness one way or the other. So,
and that's what
going to have to be dealt
frightens
with.
me about the parents' rights movement, is that now that child is in a household with a clearly violent parent,
right, in danger,
who is using a gun to threaten people implicitly or explicitly. I
Yep.
think when you're walking into a school knowingly with a gun strapped to your belt,
Yep.
You are implying that you're going to do violence, and then
Yep.
clearly sending violent messages
Yep.
saying to kiss your kids goodbye.
Yep.
I mean, come on now.
Let's send a team over there and
Come on now.
come on, police, do your job. Save that
This
child.
is, well, I just, unbelievable. And it's just like story after story after story of this. And
Mentally ill people.
it's that poor child. And if that child, regardless of the sexual orientation or gender identity of that child, you have to be living in that. All the more so if this person is a queer kid. It's heartbreaking. We are going to take a break here, talk about some more upbeat things. We have good news to report for real. Just keep it tuned here to The Gaily Show.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. We'll expose all the latest schemes, frauds, and more weeknights at 7 on AM 950.
Hey, it's Patrick. Spring showers may bring May flowers, but they also bring big savings with Zero Res. And right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel, preparing your home for the brighter days ahead. Just check out the almost 21,000 raving customer service reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating and see what all the hype is about. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $119 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning as well. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res right now at 9520-RES or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Spell it backward or forward, it's the same. Zero Res.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Is your teen or young adult withdrawing, experiencing anxiety, or depressive thoughts? They may need a larger team to care for them. That's where Hazelden Betty Ford comes in. Our team of experts help guide with proven mental health and substance use support. You can trust Minnesota's #1 teen treatment center to help your child thrive. Turn to WeGotYou.org to learn more. Hazelden Betty Ford. We Got You. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation and aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 54, tonight clear with a low around 34, and Wednesday sunny with a high near 62. Experience the comfort of Nightingale, your neighborhood bar and restaurant. Enjoy American classics like the famous Nightingale Burger, ginger tamari chicken wings, and duck pastrami Reuben. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with their full menu served until midnight. Takeout also available at nightingalempls.com.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to the Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker. It is 33 minutes after the hour. In studio with me, executive producer Jim Pounds. You can say hi.
I don't know. I just stayed silent at that moment.
Well,
I looked at you though.
You did look at me. Our call-in number 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We can talk about some more upbeat news.
Yes,
One
please.
I want to flag. Upbeat in the sense that not, what's the Pippi Longstocking, rah, rah, rah. But this is more along the lines of upbeat in the sense of people who are taking action that is either historically informed or a victory. So first I want to talk about being historically informed. The DC Rainbow History Project this Thursday, April 17th, at 4 p.m. Eastern, is going to do a reenactment of the 1965 protest that was organized by gay rights pioneers Frank Kameny and Lily Vincenz on behalf of the Mattachine Society of Washington, D.C. So you are welcome to go there. Check out the DC Rainbow History Project website. The event is April 17th at 4 p.m. It'll be on the sidewalk in front of the White House. Interestingly, the only person still alive, LGBTQ rights advocate, the last known survivor of the original 1965 White House gay rights protest, Paul Kunstler, is expected to be there and carrying the sign that is either the same or similar to the one that he carried in 1965. So I think that there is a lot that we can learn. Dr. Kameny was the very first individual who argued a case before the Supreme Court. His lawyers did. It was about him. He was fired for being gay from the federal workforce due to an executive order signed by President Eisenhower. Does all this sound familiar? His case was the first to go to the Supreme Court, and he lost that case, unfortunately, but he was a pioneer. Lily Vincenz was also a pioneer, Mattachine Society of Washington pioneers. So there's a lot that we can learn here. So this reenactment, I think, it is more than symbolic. It is about learning of how folks got the rights that we got over the past 40 years and how we can learn the lessons from them again. This next series, as a former person who worked at community colleges, 3 of them, absolutely love community colleges, and they can be so innovative. And the Salt Lake Community College points for being innovative. They have found a way to keep their LGBTQ center open, even though community colleges and universities across the country have been shutting down their LGBTQ centers. So the director, Peter Moosman, was hired in 2019 to open up a gender and sexuality student resource center at Salt Lake Community College. This is according to LGBTQ Nation. Then there was the Utah State Legislature passed HB 261 that prohibited state-funded colleges from, quote, discriminatory practices that favored certain identity populations over others. And then, of course, the U.S. Department of Education sending out a letter saying that they will end federal funding to any school with any type of DEI programming. So Moosman spoke to LGBTQ Nation, not as a representative of the college. I want to note that. They made a big deal about that in the article. I want to note that as a private individual, not as a representative of the college. But he told the news outlet that by having programming or spaces or things that were exclusive to a certain identity group, it was considered discriminatory. Our center, however, never excluded anyone from any programming, any services, any resources. We were not checking IDs at the door. We had straight students coming in and getting resources. We had cisgender students coming in and getting resources. So we were never engaged in the discriminatory practices outlined in HB 261. The kicker here is that Moosman found a loophole. The laws prohibit any activities that teach that, quote, an individual's personal identity characteristics are inherently privileged or oppressed or oppressive, or that socio-political rather structures are inherently a series of power relationships. I mean, first of all, the First Right Amendment violation that is. Anyway, what Moosman discovered, though, is that we can talk about, he said, about how communities are thriving. We can celebrate achievements. We just can't say that queer people are oppressed and need to be recognized. It's a semantics game. He says that's challenging and frustrating. So whereas the center used to provide LGBTQ 101 programming, now they do presentations on how gender and sexuality have been expressed in nature, history, culture, championing positive events that have happened within the communities, within both female communities, within LGBTQ communities, within BIPOC communities. And so it is just really fantastic that Salt Lake Community College has found a way to keep their LGBTQ center open. And I would encourage administrators at other community colleges that are facing a similar situation to look at what SLCC is doing, because this is a really great way, using the semantics, finding the loophole to keep your LGBTQ centers open and not closing them, a la, Harvard University being the first university to finally stand up and tell the Trump administration, heck no, we won't go and do what you want us to do. All right. Well, what Jim really wanted to talk about today, which is we just got back from about a week in New York City. Last Thursday, we were doing an event in partnership with the Brooklyn Public Library around our show, This Queer Book Saved My Life. We had a facilitated conversation with Chloe Caldwell and Mia Arias Sang about Chloe's book, Women, and how its life-saving impacts for Mia. Mia read from Women and her new collection, Fragments of Wasted Devotion. Chloe read from her upcoming book, Trying, as well as from Women. I even read an essay that was fun. It was great to read that finally in public, part of a collection that I am working on. Jim, how did you feel the event went?
I was impressed that there was so many young people there. I think sometimes reading gets tossed off as an old form of media or whatever, but I thought they were certainly all younger than I am, and I saw lots of people in their 30s and 40s, and I found that really encouraging. And some of them were fans of the two writers, but others, there was one person that that came because you were there, that found out you were going to be there and made the effort, and other LGBTQ sort of people. There was the one library organization fellow that was there, and it was
QTlibrary.org.
It was a really interesting collection of folks, younger and very engaged, and this was well worth their time. Nobody seemed like they seemed to be really glad to be there, and they seemed to be really attentive, and they seemed to be glad to go to the Hive Mind book table at the back, and it seemed very engaged. It was sort of satisfying to see that kind of engagement.
Yes, shout out to Hive Mind Books, excellent queer-owned bookstore in Brooklyn, who were there selling the books that we were talking about on the that evening on the podcast, and also just all around great stuff there that you should check out their bookstore, even if you don't live in Brooklyn. Go there and have them ship you a book as opposed to going to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, specifically Amazon.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the evening because the relationship that Mia and Chloe have is so unique. But it starts with Mia finding the book, Women, the novella, and how it helped her process a breakup that she was going through. And then it meant so much to her that she started sharing it on Twitter. This was a number of years ago when Twitter wasn't the hellscape that it is now. And she just kept, being funny about her posts. And then she started finding Chloe in real life, going to Chloe's readings, and then started taking writing courses from Chloe, and really kind of created this mythos around the novella that when Chloe got a new agent and they wanted to shop the book again and get it republished, a Big Five publisher picked it up. And part of what they were able to point to was all of the advocacy and PR that Mia had been doing, free of charge, because she absolutely loved the book and really wasn't connected to Chloe in that regard. And so they were able to point to that and say, hey, here, look at what this book, the impact that it's having in the world. Now, by the time of the release, Chloe and Mia were, best friends, and they call themselves sisters. But at this point, and Mia actually got to copy edit Women before it was published again. So just a really fantastic story of a queer book saving your life, but then you getting to be part of the republication of it and the copy editing of it, and to continue to be part of events like ours, celebrating and championing the book. I mean, it was just such a special. And then for Mia and Chloe to be such great friends that Mia ended up being there for Chloe when Chloe was going through a particularly tough time.
Well, and I think it shows, you and I have talked about this before, the importance of referral. I can't say enough to people that if you like something, if you admire something, if you love something, if you feel something about anything, to express that to the people in your network is so powerful, because you're a multiplier of that opinion to however many other people you might be able to influence. And a lot of small entities like we are, and I'm sure authors like Mia and Chloe, benefit from people doing that kind of advocacy on their behalf. And that's how you grow. It's more likely to be a sideways thing like that than a frontal assault. So it was lovely to see that in action.
Well, and that's not just us having a sideways plea for you to share about this show or to share about this queer book Save My Life. The algorithms are against LGBTQ creators.
Yep.
I have found that over the past 3 years, they are not in our favor. And whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, out in the world, AM 950, the AM 950 community is just so amazing about how they are committed to LGBTQ programs and well, not just LGBTQ programs, Native Roots Radio and the original programming that we're seeing on Saturdays within the community. It's just, they do such a fantastic job of that, and we need more of that model. But regardless of, who the person is, you need to start sharing these things because, the algorithms are not in our favor. The odds of the algorithm are not in our favor. And so the sharing of what you're watching, the sharing of what you're listening to, the sharing of what you're reading is just so important now more than ever, because, folks may not know about this thing that you are watching, reading, listening to, and loving. I think while we were there, we at the after party. So this was great. There was an after party at Boyfriend, which is a co-op. It's also a bar, and with some lovely mocktails, which is what I was able to have. So I really appreciate the commitment to that. But it had just opened up, so it's not even been open for 2 weeks now,
right?
Or maybe it's going to be 3 weeks this at the end of this week. So it is brand new. If you are in Brooklyn and you go to Boyfriend, absolutely delightful. The interior, there's some really nice lounge seating. There's seating for 2. There's a big open area in the back where you can sit down with like a group, which is what we were doing. There's also couches back there. The menu is fantastic. The drinks menu is fantastic. All sorts of different options for you from, again, cocktails, wine, beer, mocktails for those of us who are NA. It was a really special. And they were also very good about, we came in sort of last minute, like a day or 2 before, because we had to switch venues for our after party. And they were like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make this happen. And they were so great when we got there about finding tables and extra chairs. So if you are in the Brooklyn area on DeKalb, near that DeKalb area neighborhood on the M line, I learned that too. I'm starting to learn my trains. Wow. In New York City, the M line. It is really special. So if you're planning on going to Brooklyn in the near future, check out Boyfriend. Really fantastic. We are going to take a break here. We're going to talk about a show that we saw in New York that will be playing through May 11th. So if you're planning on going to New York and you're going to be there by May 11th, there is a show that you need to go and see, even if it means camping out to hope that there are tickets available to see it. Stay tuned. More to come on The Gaily Show.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Hey, it's Tom. Even though I don't live in Minnesota, I've spent enough time there to know how quickly the weather can change. One day it's sunny and the next you're preparing for severe weather. That's where solar plus battery storage from All Energy Solar comes in. With this power-saving combination, you'll gain energy independence and stay connected through blackouts, emergencies, or extreme weather. Solar plus battery storage is perfect for rural areas where power outages are more common, or for anyone tired of worrying about rolling blackouts. And with plenty of incentives still available, All Energy Solar will work with you to make sure you get the most savings possible. For over 15 years, All Energy Solar has been a trusted partner in helping Minnesotans move to affordable, renewable energy. They offer the best battery technology and their own licensed electricians and contractors to ensure top quality installation. So stop paying the utility company and start generating and saving your own power. Get a free consultation today at allenergysolar.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We'll talk about how civics, politics, and law affect you by highlighting a different topic each week. On this week's show, I interview State Senator Lindsay Port, who represents District 55. We'll discuss why she ran for office, some of the challenges of working in a nearly tied Senate, and some of the affordable housing bills she is dealing with as chair of the Senate Housing Committee. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter.
Welcome back to the Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker. It is 9 minutes before the hour. Jim and I are talking about a show now that we saw in New York. It was at the Lucille Lortel Theater in the West Village, formerly the LGBTQ Mecca in New York. And that show is Vanya, starring Andrew Scott. Now, longtime listeners of the Gaily Show will know that I am absolutely indebted to Andrew Scott for his performance in All of Us Strangers, which is going to be with me for the rest of my life. A film that definitely top 3 in terms of impact on who I am as a queer person. We actually awarded Andrew Scott Best Actor at the Gaily Show Awards last December. And so in this show, it is a one-person show, an adaptation of Uncle Vanya, but Andrew Scott plays all 8 characters. And at first you think, oh, this is a gimmick, like really, but it's actually ends up being very fascinating watching him move between these various people, their wants, their desires. He finds a way of helping you understand who is talking. There was only a couple times I was a little unsure of who was talking, but there's one character who's with a tennis ball. There's one character who has a cigarette. There's one character who has a very specific voice. 2 of them, actually. One has a scarf. One has a necklace. He's playing multiple genders. Well, I guess there's only 2 genders, male and female, in the cast. But he plays, both of them. And even in the scenes where there's like an intimate scene happening where there is, people making out, it doesn't seem gimmicky. It didn't seem like, oh, this is funny. Like, it was charged and intimately charged. And it was really just an amazing exploration of the human condition in a way that you wouldn't expect, having one person playing all of the different characters, but it worked.
I think it's important to note it was an adaptation of that play. In other words, it's not that play verbatim, because if you've seen Vanya, it's dry and, brittle and it just is kind of bloodless, and I don't know, it goes on and on. It makes its point, and the ennui and all that is an important part of it. But this squeezed all of that out. A conversation that would take 7 minutes on stage is handled in 3 lines between these 2 characters. And that's often done to sort of take all the air out of it. And it was pretty brilliant. Andrew Scott's one of our great LGBT actors, of course. And
he's one of our great actors, period.
Period. Yes.
Period. And I would say, based off of where he's at in his career, he is on his way to the upper echelon of your Laurence Olivier's, of your Sir Ian McKellen's, Sir Laurence Olivier, towards your Sir John Gielgud's. And he's won Olivier Awards, and he won this. This show originated in the UK. He won an Olivier Award for it, based off of being in the Lucille Lortel Theater. It's an off-Broadway house, so he wouldn't be able to be nominated for a Tony Award, even though he deserves all of the Tonys for this particular performance. I noticed it is sold out, but that doesn't mean I saw people at the box office on the day that we were there, which was a matinee. So if you are there, definitely call, go to the box office, see if there are any last minute tickets of people who just weren't able to show, because there's a possibility of that, and it is worth it.
And it was extended for a week. So are you saying
Yeah.
that week is sold out also? As
No,
far as
most of the, as I was looking before the show started, a lot of the episodes are sold out.
Okay.
So you can go onto their website, lucilleortel.org, I believe, and check that out. But even if you're there, if you're in New York and you saw, well, it's sold out on a Thursday, just go by the theater, like a half hour before, and say, are there any last minute tickets? Because they might have one for you, and it is definitely worth it.
And the Off-Broadway awards are named for Lucille Lortel, and this production has received 2 Lortel nominations, one for directing and one for Andrew's performance. So congratulations for that.
Definitely. Before we go here today, we want to let you know that our companion show, This Queer Book Saved My Life, it does have a new episode that dropped today. We are currently doing a limited series that focuses on uplifting LGBTQ bookstores. So this limited series, this is the second new episode in the series. And what we mean by that is that all of the guests in the series are owners or managers of LGBTQ bookstores. And so today's episode is featuring Stephanie Beardsley, who owns and manages Wolf and Wild's Queer Bookstore in Manitou Springs, Colorado. We are talking about the book. So this is a really fascinating story. So Stephanie was in the military or in the armed services, the regular discharge, everything's good. And ended up going on what she calls her gay Eat, Pray, Love series or trip, and ended up in New Zealand. So it was 8,000 miles away from home, and was asking the question, is it okay to be gay? And that's when she discovered Paula Bach's book, Dare, Truth, or Promise. And it definitely answered some questions for Stephanie. So we talked to her about that. And then the author, Paula, joins us. The book won a major award for YA Lit in New Zealand when it originally came out. When I was researching for the interview, like every 5 to 10 years, there's these, essays about how this is the X number anniversary of Dare, Truth, or Promise. And not just in New Zealand, across the world. So it is a beloved book. And so you should definitely check out the episode. You can go to thisqueerbook.com, or you can search for This Queer Book Save My Life everywhere that you get your podcasts to give it a listen. And please consider also going to Wolf and Wild's Queer Bookstore. Wild is spelled WYLD, and shop there and let them know that you heard about them either on the Gaily Show or on This Queer Book Save My Life. That is all for us here today. Coming up next is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. We will be back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We will have White House correspondent for the Washington Blade, Christopher Kane, has some really interesting new reporting that you are going to want to hear about, including a queer candidate running for Senate in New Hampshire. So until then, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.